comes to our job roles, it is clear, right? So if you see in demo video, so we will be doing, or we are already doing course on storage testing. Okay. So our core job is to test the products, right? So what kind of products we will test? So we'll test the storage products, right? So here in any kind of testing, so it can be application testing or a software testing or a hardware testing. So both manual and automation testing are very, very important. So if you see, we have two testing types, so manual and automation. So any idea what is the difference between manual and automation testing? What we will do in manual, what we will do in automation? So if you are validating Word only, Microsoft Word, you are testing Microsoft Word application. Okay, so if it is a manual testing, so test case is to open Microsoft Word and write some keyword called Python in a file and save it. So what we will do if it is a manual testing, we need to open that file manually and write the data and save the file manually. So if it is an automation testing, so we use some tools or scripts, so that will do our work. Okay. So if we are using any tools or scripts, so we need to use some scripting language, right? We need to use some programming language to develop any kind of tools and script. So here we use Python. So Python is very popular as a scripting language. So and it is one of the core automation language we use in our domain. So mainly if we test any hardware devices or embedded domain or VLSI, and in especially in our storage domain, so many companies are using Python only. So before Python, we used Perl. Okay, so some 10 years back. So now everyone migrated to Python. Still some companies are using Perl. Perl and Python both are similar. Only difference in the syntax. Okay. So when it comes to Python, right? So when it comes to automation testing, what we will do, we will develop some tools or scripts. It will do our job, right? So we develop these tools and scripts using Python. Okay. So Python, if you see, it acts like both scripting and programming language. So any idea what is the difference between scripting and a programming language? So what is the difference? What is the difference? So we use code for multiple purposes, right? Let's say you are testing Microsoft Word application. To develop that product, to develop Microsoft Word, so developer has to write some code, right? Okay, so everything is code only. So take your WhatsApp example. For WhatsApp application also, they have to write some code in the background, right? So the developer's code, we call it as programming language. So we use for mainly for the coding, means to develop the products. So if you see Python, so it is one of the scripting language. So mainly used for automation, automating the tasks. Okay. So if you see examples of programming language that developers use, so they use C, C++, Java. Okay, so when it comes to scripting languages, we have shell script, Python script, Perl script. Okay. So Python nowadays they are using both as a for developers also using and testers also using for scripting. Okay. Okay, so we will go back to our automation testing, then we will come back to Python. So what is the importance of automation testing? So in our job role, so even though we do manual and automation testing both, so there will be more weightage to the automation. So because with automation testing, so we can increase the efficiency of our testing. So efficiency of testing. Okay. So what happens basically if we are doing automation? That means we will write some code, so that will only do our task, right? So let's say you have some 4 steps. Take example of a test case, and we have 4 steps. So if we do it manually, so there are some chances, right? We may miss one step in between. So as humans will do, so they all will do some errors, right? Mistakes. So if you skip one step, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you skip uh, third step by mistake and we went to fourth step, so there will be some issue with testing, right? So we will not get the expected behavior. So if we use these tools or code, so scripting scripts to do our test case execution, so there are no chances of missing the test script test step here, right? So we'll definitely execute all these test steps, and it is faster also. Okay, so let's say manually you're opening Word and you are typing something and you are saving. So it will take more time compared to so whatever tool will do, right? So with automation testing, we can run more test cases in less time. Okay, so let's say you have 10 test cases. So let's say manually it takes some 3 hours as an example. So if we go for automation, so it can be completed in 2 hours. Okay. So because here human intervention is not required with automation. So it will only do a task. Okay. So one is efficiency. So accuracy will be there. So accuracy of finding the issue also more in automation testing. So sometimes with human error, we may miss some issues. So let's say you are opening Word and you are not seeing some expected behavior. So sometimes we may miss that issue. So with automation, so there will be more accuracy and efficiency. Okay. So possibility of finding the issues is more with automation. Okay. And so faster way of executing test cases, right? So what else you can do with automation? So let's say you have some 10 test cases. So if it is manually, once one test case completes, we will go to another test case, right? Test case by test case, we will execute. So if it is if we can bundle these test cases, 10 test cases at a time, and if we run as a bundle, so it will execute fast, right? So similar test cases, we can bundle and we can run it as a group. So no need of human intervention for starting the test case also. So if we are integrating with CI/CD, so Jenkins or continuous integration or continuous deployment tools, so it is very easy to integrate if you have automation. Okay. So any questions here? So this is the advantage. These are the advantages of automation testing. So especially in our storage domain, so automation testing has more weightage because we need to execute n number of test cases and for the long time. So let's say we repeat same test cases, same test for 100 times. So one example I will take. Some of you covered already done with RAID, right? So RAID creation. Okay. So let's say you want to test write feature. So if we create write for only one time, so we may get or we may not get the issue, right? So sometimes we'll get, sometimes we'll miss the issue. So if we repeat this test for 100 times, so 100 times continuously, if we create write, same test case, if we repeat 100 times, so there are possibility for issues. So those kind of tests, we call it a longevity test, right? Yes. So if we are doing so longevity tests, so let's say same test, you want to repeat it for 100 times. So if it is manual, so every time we need to execute and again clean up, execute, clean up. So it will take a lot of time, right? So if we use our code, means tool or script to do that, so it will complete very faster and possibility of finding the error is also more. Okay. So these are the advantages of automation testing. So any question here? Okay. If no question, we'll move on to Python. So why we are learning Python? So for doing automation, so in our course we learn Python, right? So why we are learning Python? So what is the importance of Python? So we already know Python is one of the scripting language. So if you know, so Python is an interpreted language, right? So what is interpreted language? Any idea? So it will execute line by line. So what is the other type? So compiler language, compilation language. So what is difference? So area. So compiler versus interpreter. So what happens? So compiler will convert all the source code into executable code. So it will compile and it will run, right? So when it comes to interpreter, so it will convert line by line, right? It will convert line by line and it will execute the program. So, and when it comes to Python, so it is a platform independent. Okay. So platform independent means, let's say you wrote some Python code and you are using in Windows. The same code we can use it in Linux also. Okay. So there will be no dependency on hardware and OS. Okay. The same code we can run it on all the type of operating systems and any kind of hardware. So only we call Python is platform independent and it is dynamically typed language. So if you know C or Java, so how we will declare the variables? So we need to define with some variable name, right? Type of variable. Let's say if we are defining integer, so we'll define with int a equal to 10. Okay. So this means, so we are explicitly telling this variable that, so this variable is a type of integer. But in case of Python, we need not to define the type of variable. Okay. So we need not to define type of variable. So Python interpreter itself understand that what kind of variability in the runtime. Okay. So Python is dynamically typed. So only Python is dynamically typed language. Since it is a dynamically typed language, the process of execution is faster. So script execution, so code execution is faster in Python compared to other scripting languages. So we can compare with JavaScript or shell script. Okay, so compared to those scripting languages, so Python execution is faster. So like other scripting languages, so Python is also an open source language. So you can download it freely from web and you can use it. Okay. And it is object oriented. So Python is object oriented programming language. So similar to JavaScript or Perl. So here it also provides OOPS means feature. So if you see C or shell, so they don't have OOPS support, right? C kuntada OOPS లేదు. So Java has OOPS support. So we'll Python. So for now, the benefits of Python.
Hello. Hello.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.